This is Granny and Mr. B.B. King playing Lucille. B.B. King was one of my dad's favorite artists. And good Monday night, January the 17th, 2022. We are celebrating Martin Luther King, and we're going to be sharing with you briefly Granny's Gotta Represent. Yes, I looked for other instrumental songs, and yes, some of you going to say, we told you she was coming out of the closet. She teaches Sunday school, and she's an usher, but she's playing B.B. King. Okay, let me show you. If this is better, then that's what we'll do. But I just wanted to have some fun. This is our first reading in 2022, and I just thought it would be nice that if we mentioned a lot of celebrations are going on honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And as I told you last week, let me put my riding hat back on. Some of the members of my family, we selected to read letters from a Birmingham jail, and we're going to be sharing that. Maybe when we get to the end of our readings, Granny's Old Hands, we'll share that with you. I'm going to make a couple of announcements, and then we'll get into our reading. And I'm going to keep it short, and I hope you can hear me over this music. And my brother Randall Gillespie let me borrow this jacket. He rides a motorcycle, and I promise you this has to weigh 100 pounds or more. And with that said, we're going to start officially. Thank you so much. Hey, this is Granny. This is January the 17th, 2020, and we just wanted to have some fun. You guys see, she got the bling on, she got a motorcycle hat, even got the gloves. Because remember, Granny's got to represent. Yeah, right. Couple announcements that I need to make. Uh, Again, I can't say it enough. I'm so thankful to my grandchildren. They are responsible for me coming to you on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. And we now have a Granny's Old Hand Facebook channel that you can subscribe to if you wanted to ask questions or if you were inquisitive about why I change outfits every time I read a different chapter. I want to have fun with it. As I said, and I'll keep saying, when I read, I learn something new about Granny. And tonight, the reason I chose B.B. King, as I said maybe earlier, he was one of our dad's favorite artists. 1969, when The Thrill Is Gone came out, I had just been released from foster care. You know, you stay in foster care till you become 18. Well, that year I turned 19 and I graduated from high school, and this B.B. King's song came out, and I'm thinking, what do I do? What do I do? Yes, I was in church. Yes, I still am in church, but I like the instrumental version, and to this day I can't tell you why, but I do. I've always, in my heart, been for the other people, for the underdog. And so one of my sisters swears that I should have been a militant. So let's raise our hand up. Not a militant in the bad sense that I wanted to hurt people, but I wanted some change. And so for me, the thrill is gone. And I asked myself, when did I lose that excitement for justice, for peace, for serving the underdog? And when I was getting ready to record tonight's show, I thought a lot of people probably will shoot me down because there are other songs again that I could have used, but I lost that thrill. For 8 years, I was a black student advisor at one of our schools in East Lansing. It was predominantly Caucasians, but we had a group of African American students. My two children, Tina and Mike, attended school, and they wanted to learn more. And for me, those 8 years changed my life. We introduced things like the Four Little Girls of Birmingham, Alabama. We did plays, we did narratives, and I was excited because the students at that time were learning something that was not taught in textbooks. And so Granny was representing back then. Again, I don't know if it's because of my age or I decided that when you want to make a difference, it costs. When you want to make some noise, it costs. And so I thought tonight we would share again that we're starting Letters from a Birmingham Jail in honor of Dr. King. And there's so many celebrations going on across this great country tonight. But I wanted to start off just saying, Granny, I got to find a way to represent again. Uh, those of you that have the books, and we're not going to do the whole chapter. It's going to be done in two parts, and I think you'll enjoy it. We're on page 31 of the book, and it just simply says, Chapter 6, Granny got to represent. Yeah, right. Hey, here we go. Imagine being a 54-year-old granny driving around town in a shiny, big black expedition. I need a small step stool to climb in it, and I definitely have to catch my breath once I placed my large buttocks in the front seat of that big old hunk of iron and steel. I know the conditions of my bad knees. The doctor says it's arthritis mixed with a worn out body, but I climb in anyway. This is the interesting part. Other drivers see me and they smile. From time to time, I stop at a light side by side with another expedition, with people in it the same age as my son Michael. The music is blasting. I don't have no rhythm, so I can't show you how the music was blasting. That's the best I can do. Really loud from this vehicle. I didn't see them at first, but the woofer speakers, and you guys know what woofer speakers are, and they had this in the truck, were blaring. And then I noticed heads bobbing and my heart racing from the speakers they've installed. They have do-rags on their heads. And these are young people. These, no senior citizens like me. We're going to turn the page. Every now and then, I bob my head also. I want to appear really cool in my husband's expedition. So I give a little play as I hope the young men are watching me. Take a break. Granny wants to represent. She's in this shiny big car and she wants to be cool. She wants these young men to think she got it going on. I wonder if I should raise my window or raise my own hands. I can only imagine what they may be thinking. But who cares? Because for a few moments, I know I'm the flavor of the month. I can now see the young man in the passenger side lean forward and peek inside the window of my vehicle. I'm sure he sees the gray hair standing at attention on my head. I don't care about that either. All they can possibly think is this granny has got it going on. What they really don't see is how tight I'm gripping the steering wheel, hoping the light will hurry up and change. My mind drifts back to replay the events of the day. So much left undone and bills to pay and deadlines to meet at work. Where does the time go? I had a plan when I was younger. Obey my parents, come home early from dates, get good grades in school, and grow up and try to make a difference in the world. I'm going to take a break. You guys already know I had the opportunity to be in foster care. That changed my life. And I thought at that time, surely God wanted me to be out front, holding a sign or doing something. But a shift took place in my life, and I kind of put that on the back burner. I can only faintly hear the music because inside my vehicle, I have another conversation going on with myself about the events of the day. I know how the best made plans can change in the blink of an eye. Little did I know back then that something called life would rearrange and change all my plans. I had always had conversations about how things would turn out for me, but how naive I was. Sometimes, listen to me, guys, I'm off script. Sometimes your circumstances can change your entire life. Sometimes life just happens and you deal with it between stops at the traffic light or in the doctor's office after receiving bad news about your health, or after receiving a notice informing you that the dealership would like to have their automobile back if you don't make a payment as soon as possible. The noise from the outside's grown more faint. I can hear my own sounds now more clearly, more concisely. Just what are you doing with your old hands, Granny? Where will you take them today? I'm a college graduate with 3 Bachelor's of Arts degrees and a dual master's degrees. I never smoked nor drank alcoholic beverages. I've slept with only 2 men, both of whom I married, and now I sit here at the light trying to be cool. We're going to stop right there and we'll pick it up next week. It costs to be cool, grannies. It costs to do all of this. And I know each week I say, let's come out of the closet. And this chapter deals with how I had to come out of a closet. I will finish it next week. I was embarrassed about something that took place and I played it off like, oh, it's nothing. And when I think about how on fire I was when I was the advisor for the Black Student Union at East Lansing High School, I can mention that because I worked there with students that were thirsty and they were hungry for change. And we did so many things. We exposed them to things that was not in the books. And I'm not trying to bring critical race theory in this, but I'm telling you, I want that thrill back. I want that excitement back. And again, you could say, well, you could have picked a different song. And I did listen to different songs. And as God is my witness, I love the instrumental music of The Thrill Is Gone. Now, you'll say, what did this have to do with you coming out of the closet? Okay, and you may say, every week you're talking about coming out of the closet. Raise your hands. Our nation is in trouble. And I'm not trying to go to church or preach because presently we're on Zoom at church. We've been on Zoom for a year. But I am saying to us tonight, as we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr.'s date for doing what he did, let's get excited again. How do we get that thrill back? By first of all, being honest with yourself. Some of you were avid supporters of not only the civil rights, but you showed up at school for your kids. You stood in line because you wanted to make a difference. And so for me, at 71 years old, I sat in a classroom this past week and I wept because our kids, and I'm saying our kids, have no idea what's waiting for them. And yet they want to represent. I see them in the halls. They want to be cool. Uh, they want to talk disrespectful to Miss Starks. And some of them have decided we ain't going to even speak to the old lady. And you know what? I was hurt. I went to my sister's office and I said, what am I doing? What really am I doing? Am I chasing dollars because they're paying us a lot of money to show up? Or is my passion really to make a difference with these kids? So I've got some reflecting to do while I say Granny's got to represent. Uh, I hope you stay with us. We'll finish the chapter next week. I promised I would not go over. I ask you to support if you can, subscribe and share. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. My grandkids have made me a Facebook Grannyoldhands page. So if you have questions that you'd like to ask me, please tune in. And our brother's jacket, look at this. I could stand up and show you the back of this jacket, but Randy, I don't know how you wear this. I promise you, this has to weigh 100 pounds, but I'm so thankful and so grateful that he allowed me to borrow it so I could look cool. Now, for those of you that think she done flipped, I wear this hat and never have to say a thing because the word says, if I be lifted up, I'll draw all men So I wear it, and I don't have to tell people, why don't you love Jesus? Or what? I wear the hat, and they have to look at the cross, and that speaks for itself. With that said, this is Granny's old hands. She got her gloves on, and I got bling bling on, but this jacket is so heavy. I look forward to seeing you next Monday night. Remember, go somewhere and celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In cities across the world, people are honoring him, but let's honor him by bringing that thrill of excitement back of what it was like. And yes, we marched, and yes, we voted, and yes, we have Black Lives Matter, but inside, guys, grannies, gotta make a difference. We gotta tell our children, our grandchildren, the whole truth, the whole story. We came from goodness. We came from royalty. And there's so much that we could do. Even at 71 years old, and the kids making fun of me at school, and this is what I tell them. This is what they told me. And we're going to end with this. They said, we're going to run you away. And you know what I said? I got a light bill to pay, so I got to stay. Oh, this has been beautiful. I'm excited that we're back. I'm excited that you're still following me. And I'm excited that you know you can raise your hands even in these difficult times. Throw your hands up and say, I've had enough of crime with our young people. I've had enough of young people killing young people. I've had enough of kids graduating and can't read above the fourth grade level. Grannies, you can show up at school. They're even paying grannies to come and sit in class. Just your presence can make a difference. For 8 years, I was the advisor of a predominantly Caucasian school, but we made such a difference. My children, Chelsea, Christina, and Mike, can tell you from elementary school to middle school to when they got in high school, I found a way to get a job. Me and my husband did. I was the lunchroom server at their elementary school. I found a way to be all through their elementary school. I was in the kitchen. Their dad was the lunchroom monitor. We were visible when they went to middle school. I got a job right across the street. And so when something happened and they would call, Miss S would go right across the street. I found a way to get into the high school. And again, for 8 years, I introduced our students to the beautiful heritage that we have and what it means to be proud and what it means to not be ashamed. And regardless of what people tell you, if you know who you are, just like Granny represented, and if you stay tuned, you'll hear next week how I did this and how me representing, I made a fool of myself, but I came out okay. Again, this is Granny saying thank you so very much. Like us on Facebook, like us on Twitter, YouTube, subscribe and share. And don't forget, we now have a Granny's Old Hand Facebook page that you can, and you can ask me personal questions. I'm gonna tell you the truth. You may not like it, but I'm gonna tell you the truth as I know the truth. I won't sugarcoat it. I can just tell you what it's been like revisiting this book, finding out things about myself, and trying to make a difference. Now, I wear my mask. Why am I saying that? Why am I even showing it? My lungs were compromised back in October. I'm going to end with this, I promise. And I was not going to do anything because I thought, nah, but I was full of fluid in my lungs and in my heart. So now I'm not advocating that you go out and do, but I wear this thing. Why? Because I have 29 grandchildren and have another one coming. And I want to do my part. I may not understand everything, and I may not even agree, but I'm going to do my part. So, grannies, I'm asking you as you come out of the closet, just think about what we can still do. There are enough of us still left, senior citizens, that we know the struggle that we've come through. If you're a 50s baby like I was, we saw things that we never thought would be reconciled for our race. And now we're seeing things trying to backtrack and take us back. And grannies, we can't let that happen. We know what to do. We know what our knees do, and we know what our heart do, and we know what lifting up our hands and coming out of the closet does. Last time, this is Granny saying thank you for joining us on January the 17th. And please support the programs that are going on. Most of them are going to be on Zoom, and we understand why. But if we just think about not just Martin Luther King, but tons of people, both white and black, made sacrifices so we could do some of the things we do. This is Granny. See you next week so we can finish. Granny got to represent. Yeah. And maybe by then I'll have a little bounce and we're going to hear BB King again. Unless, that's all I'm going to say. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Granny. Now let's do this. This, this is my cool hat, my leather hat. My head's so big, but Randall, I'm representing good. Look, I wish we could stand up and they could see this jacket. I don't know how this dude, well, he's 6'7", 6'8", so it's just like a piece of cake for him. Have a good Monday night. Be blessed. Enjoy the rest of this holiday that they gave us off. This is Granny saying, lift those old hands and we'll see you next week. And also, I wanted to be a hippie. I forgot about that. I'll have to share that with you next week because I thought I'm going to change the world. I'm going to be an African American hippie. God bless you. See you next week.